Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing. Today I'm creating this beautiful 11 by 14 canvas. This is a wrapped canvas, and I'm going to be using some of the supplies that I'm showing here. I did not end up using the drywall tape, and then a couple of the papers didn't end up fitting in my design either. The butterfly I had pulled out, I was going to use, but when I got the background on, it just didn't fit. The papers that I chose were very specific to what I was trying to express and communicate in the piece, particularly the newspaper. It's very, very old. And all those papers are from ShawnPetite.com from her collage packs, and they all had deep meaning in this piece. I picked the newspaper because to me it represented life, real people with real histories, real struggles, and all of those kinds of things. And so it was really applicable to what I was trying to express here. So I did apply all my papers with my Liquitex matte medium. And then I make sure it's good and dry before I move on to the next step. I'll be bringing in a variety of golden fluid acrylics to create my background color. And then this piece, which I showed in the beginning, I really wanted it in the piece, but I knew that it wasn't going to show because it was not my focal point. But what it says is, we are not perfect. We struggle. We are broken and blended. We are learning to love. We are finding the good. We are covered by grace. We are family. And again, that meant a lot to me for this piece. And you'll be able to read about what was behind the creating of this piece if you go over to my blog at B.Rebornart.com. You'll be able to see it there. And there's just a close-up of all of that paper. Just scrumptious. Love it, love it, love it. If you haven't checked out Shawn's collage packs, they are amazing. So here I'm coming in with the first color is the cadmium yellow hue. And then I'll be using teal, vat orange. This is a fluorescent magenta. Even though it looks kind of orangish, it's not. My camera is being a little bit weird. And then this is the teal that I'm bringing in here. The teal ended up being a really strong element on this piece in the end, which is not unusual for me. Teal is one of my favorite colors in mixed media, so I wasn't at all surprised by that. And I did decide it needed a little bit of light, and so I'm going to be bringing in some Titan Buff to kind of give a little bit of a lighter look after I show you the close-ups here. So I love how you can see all the background papers behind this paint because it is fairly transparent, which I really like. And so here I'm coming and doing a technique called reverse stenciling, which I learned from Shawn, using a baby wipe to pull up the paint through that stencil. It didn't have the desired effect or as strong of effect as I had hoped for. In that upper left-hand section, it was just fine, but in other areas of the canvas, it just really wasn't pulling up. I do come in with a little bit of alcohol on my wipe as well, trying to give that a whirl, and I did get a little bit more of that effect, but this stencil was probably not the best one because it has a lot of intricate detail, and my baby wipe kept getting stuck on the edges, and I didn't want to ruin it, so I was doing it fairly gingerly. And there's the alcohol. Just going to use a little bit, and it did help pull up a little bit more of the paint. I don't know if the paint was already drying pretty quickly, and that's why I wasn't able to pull it off, but in the end it worked out okay. It just gave a hint of that in some places. So much of the background gets covered up with other layers that I wasn't too concerned about it. So there you can see it's just really not very obvious at all. So I'm not sure what I was doing wrong, but I'll have to give it another try. And there, another close-up. So you can see it was very effective in some places, but then not in others. Giving it a good dry before I come in with that Titan Buff. I didn't want the lighter color to overpower the piece because the color was very symbolic for this creation, so I didn't want to mess too much with that, but a little bit of the light was good, I think. I do kind of use my baby wipe to wipe it back so it's not too strong. It's kind of a dull, lighter color. I have to tell you, my desk looked like a bomb exploded. I was grabbing for everything I could get my hands on because this just was very intuitive as I moved through it. And at this point, I had decided, well, I was going to use this butterfly at this point, and I did a bunch of stuff with it. I did not like it, and so I went and found a different butterfly. And I decided I'd spare you the viewing of that because it was pretty long and cumbersome, and so I just cut it out. But it just, when I was done, it didn't pop off the page like I wanted it, or off the canvas, and so I pulled in a black and white butterfly, and it worked much better. I was super happy with that. So I'm doing some stenciling using heavy gesso and that same stencil. And I did start with a small brush and ended up grabbing a bigger one just to get a little bit more gesso down. And this is one of Shawn's new stencils from her summer line. The summer line is absolutely incredible. So now I'm going to use Ranger Crackle paint. And what I really love about this Crackle paint is it dries clear, translucent, so you can see everything behind it. It kind of gives it this like a magnifying glass look. And the reason why I chose this is because the message of the piece is all about kind of diversity and color and our differences and love and kindness and all of those things. And so it seemed very meaningful to me to have some of that color and design trapped underneath that layer of the Crackle paint, as though it's sealed in, because I believe that it is sealed into who we are. You know, our differences are something that we learned as we live in society and as we're raised and those kinds of things. And so you'll be able to read more about what the thought process was behind this. It's kind of hard to delve into it too much during the voiceover, so I hope that you'll hop over and check it out. I did wipe off the center section where I knew I wanted my focal image to be. And so that's what you saw me doing there as I was chatting. And I'm going to use my black archival ink and come in and do some stamping using some stitch stamps from Ranger. And again, those stamps have meaning to the piece. I really wanted the stitching because I really feel like we need a lot of mending and we need a lot of healing, and there's a lot of unraveling happening in our world right now. And so the stitching was very symbolic to me of our current state of being and kind of how we struggle as human beings to keep ourselves together and those kinds of things. And so they fit perfectly in this piece. Then coming in with my penny black script stamp, which is, again, as I've mentioned, probably 100 times, it's my favorite. And so it does tend to be the one that I grab most often. And I just stamped that around the whole canvas. And then I pulled out this other stamp that is like a circle, like I don't know, like what a stain that your coffee would leave if it spilled over on the counter, a coffee stain. And so because I really wanted to bring out more black in the piece, and so this stamp was subtle enough to not overtake the design, but enough to bring in some black that I think it really needed. And I do come in a moment here and do some splattering with some black paint as well. I guess after the close-up. I apologize. This is my third voiceover. It keeps stopping in the middle, and then I did the whole voiceover and went back and listened to it, and there was no audio, and I have no idea why. It was bizarre. So now here's where I'm going to go ahead and do some splattering with some paint, again using my golden fluid acrylic in bone black. And all the supplies will be listed in the video description below and also over on my blog, where you'll be able to find the blog writing. And here's the butterfly I ended up using. And I do apologize. I stepped away to go make dinner and I forgot to turn the camera back on when I went and did all the spattering on the butterfly. And basically what I did was I used all the colors that are in the background and I splattered them onto the butterfly. I'm going to go ahead and do a raw umber glaze using my golden fluid acrylic and raw umber and my golden glazing medium. Going to give it a good coat. I believe I actually did 2 coats. I don't show both coats, but and I didn't do a full second coat. I just kind of put it here and there. The video was extremely long. It was over, it was over 2.5 hours. So I really needed to be selective about what I cut out. So I didn't show the second layer of the glaze. And there's just a close-up of that where you can see the stitching and the crackle from that crackle paint. And I loved how the raw umber glaze just seeped into those crevices of that, or the cracks of that crackle paint. And I love that because, again, the cracking, not only did I feel like it was sealing in the color that is us, but it also tells a story about our brokenness and our need for healing as a people and as a nation, as families, and all of those kinds of things. So here's my sentiment. Again, that says, seek justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere it on a wooden plaque that I painted yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that onto my butterfly, on the bottom of my butterfly. And there I'm just measuring just to make sure that I cut off evenly on both sides of the sentiment so that it fits nicely on the plaque. I'm going ahead and adhering that with my Liquitex matte medium. And then I give that a quick heat set, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply a glaze to that. There is a lot of cutting and splicing in this video, so I know that in some places it feels a little abrupt, but it was the best that I can do under the circumstances. I'm trying to get this all ready and scheduled to post for Sunday. Going to have a house full of people here, or not a house full, but a lot of people here for the weekend. So I want to make sure that I had enough time to get this done and give it the time it deserves. So. And there I went ahead and gave it a glaze, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get that brown off. I don't know if it was a place where I missed the matte medium or what happened there, but then I remembered that often alcohol solves a multitude of sins, and so I went ahead and that didn't quite sound right, did it? In this case, in art, using some alcohol does help you to remove paint from where you don't want it. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Anyway, adhering this plaque under my butterfly. And I'm going to be using heavy gel. Oh, I forgot. I did go in and use all of the colors in the background and just kind of dab them here and there along the plaque just to bring in those colors. These colors and this kind of messy look was very deliberate also in this piece because I really feel like it looked very childlike, I guess. And I feel like some part of the secret to joy and happiness and getting along comes from being like children. Children are very forgiving. Children don't generally see color. They're taught color. They don't generally see evil. They're taught evil. And so I wonder how much healing we would experience as a nation and as a people if we were able to see the world as children see it. So that's why I did this kind of childlike painting on this plaque. And I think it added to the piece and was really quite lovely, giving a little bit of teal to that edge. And those are the same 4 colors I had used before: the teal, the vat orange, the yellow, and the fluorescent magenta. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that with my Liquitex Heavy Gel. playing with my viewing area there, I had to shift my camera over on my desk a little bit, so I was getting used to just a slightly different position at my table. So thank you for your patience around that. Had a little bit of that butterfly that was not quite adhered, so I went ahead and just used a little bit of matte medium to get that in place. And there we go. Went ahead and adhere that. And then I'm going to go ahead and sop up that extra glue again so it doesn't ooze out. I don't generally work on wrapped canvas, and so what I was doing there was pushing it from behind because the canvas has some give, and so I wasn't able to really push that down enough to really ensure that it was adhered correctly. So, and there's just a close-up of all that texture. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm coming in with my Rembrandt Soft Pastel in black. It was very, very dark, and so I did off camera wipe some of that off. And then I'm going to come around again with that same pastel around all of my edges. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you'll hop on over to my blog at B.Rebornart.com and you can read the Sunday's Art of Truth on this piece. Again, this was a very intense, emotional, expressive piece of art for me. And so if you'd like to share in that story, you can certainly check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're well and that you have an awesome 4th of July. I know there's a lot of restrictions in the area. We will have some family over here, our kids, and we'll be blowing up fireworks. So it should be a good time here. But I hope that you enjoy whatever family you have around you and that you're making memories and that things are well. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to my channel, I'd sure love it if you did. It helps boost my visibility on Facebook, and as a new creator, it's really helpful. So again, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the still photos here. Bye-bye.